Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics. I'm here at the main camp at Standing Rock and doing some interviews. Stumbled across some TYT viewers and roving independent journalists themselves. So you guys just got here yesterday like me and have kind of been inspired by TYT, other things you see. Talk to me about what brought you out here from Chicago, California and New York.
We met up in Chicago, and we saw the coverage of the Native people and the police brutality, and we felt the need to come here. And we brought some stuff. We came here, and yeah, you're right. We've been following TYT. I've been following TYT since 2006, and I've been watching it every day. And I've seen your coverage, and I thought that there should be more coverage of this, and you obviously came back. So thought we'd come here with Jacqueline.
So when you see like social media and you see the photos and the evidence, and then you see the New York Times, CNN just do this. Oh, well, the police say this and the protectors say this. You figure it out. You know, what do you think of overall, not only the lack of coverage, but when they do cover it, what you're seeing?
It's a lot of hearsay. The police said this, like you said, they said this, but it's never from the actual source. So it's, you don't know how credible it is. And I'm so happy that you are here covering this because, that's where I got a lot of the information. However, a lot of the news that's put out is about the violence that's happening here. And since we've gotten here, there has been nothing. It's completely peaceful. All we've experienced is prayers. People have a lot of hope, and there's just so much strength here that the mainstream media is completely ignoring. Like, where is CNN? Where's Fox News? We had a local ask us yesterday, how come Fox News is not covering this? Well, we know why. Yeah.
Yeah, I think CNN actually has a reporter here now. I saw one of her things and it was completely substanceless. But one thing I find interesting, if you look at the broader campaign year, a lot of people looked at what Bernie Sanders was talking about to ignite people to run for office. But I think this whole progressive fire wave has ignited a lot of people to do journalism too, particularly people that supported Bernie. I've met a lot of them on my way. Were you guys for a long time doing journalism, or has this whole year, everything you've seen, whether it be Bernie, Standing Rock, Flint, we could go on and on, has that inspired you to kind of pick up a camera and show the world what's going on?
Absolutely. One of the things as a Bernie supporter I noticed was that the media isn't covering the truth, the reality. For example, one of the things that they never covered was election fraud in Arizona, in California, the rigging of the system. They're in it together, and as people, we thought there are two ways we can contribute to putting the fact out. One, journalism. Two, getting involved, running for office. Running for office is a little more complicated, but being on the ground and talking to people real time and getting real news is kind of easier. It just requires some resources and time.
Yeah. Can I add something? It's been infuriating how the media has been spinning the stories. So I get most of my news from Facebook live feeds, people who are actually at the events, such as the DNC. They completely blacked out all of the messed up things that they were doing to the Bernie delegates. And it's just, ignites a flame where you want people to know the truth. And that's what we've decided to do.
It's funny you say that because I was at the DNC. Taylor was my cameraman, actually, and we were outside. I don't know. I think it was the second to last night, and there was a protest. It was peaceful for the most part. You had people come in towards the middle of it. They weren't the protesters. They were what Fox would call the agitators, but let's just say renegades, not with the movement, who took a battering ram to the fence. But I was just thinking there in the moment, there's really a disconnected reality from what's going on in that building to what's going on out here. And funny enough, Fox was the only other reporter there because, they wanted to be negative about Hillary Clinton. But there really is, when you look at the DNC or you look at here, what you actually see on TV in that instance was the Democratic Party coming together and this soaring speech by Hillary Clinton, whereas in reality, there's thousands of people on the streets right outside the building, and you don't get that picture. As young people, do you think it's essentially a deliberate thing by the media to not show that, or you think it's more, this is the bubble they live in, and it's on us to pop that.
No, it's absolutely, they're in it together. The DNC is colluding with the media. We saw the list of 43 people, 43 journalists, and the people they invited to their meetings, verifying and confirming their information before they put it out. Even Rachel Maddow was one of the people. I was very disappointed seeing that. She's a very intelligent individual as an LGBT person, or being from that community, and including with the Hillary Clinton campaign, who the last second came out before the Supreme Court came out in favor of gay marriage, and said, "Okay, well, I guess I'm with it." She's an opportunist, and as grassroots media, we want to cover that. We want to cover the truth. We want to show people that politicians are colluding with banks. Citigroup, Bank of America, Wells Fargo loaned the project. They're in it. And
Deutsche Bank. There's banks. There's banks in Sweden apparently.
yeah, Swiss Bank.
You know, they talk a lot about the fact that there's not a diversity in politics. You know, you have a bunch of old white guys for the most part in Congress, in the Senate. There's also not a diversity in the media. And what I mean by that is not black, white, Latino, but these are pretty much all very highly paid urban dwellers. You know, Anderson Cooper is not a bad guy. None of them are bad people. Well, some of them are bad people, but they're very disconnected from what's going on here. You watch Morning Joe, it's like being at a cocktail party at 6 a.m. They don't know what's going on here, nor do they care. So, broader picture, do you think part of the problem with media is when most of the elite media is in New York, D.C., these urban cities, making decent money or very good money? Why would we expect them to really relate or care that much about what's going on at Standing Rock?
I'm gonna use the politician's phrase. "Oh, I met real America." They're not in real America. They're in their bubble.
Be careful, you don't want to sound like Sarah Palin.
That's true. They make millions of dollars. Obviously, they want their taxes cut. Anybody with a proposal to bring solar panels, solar energy, or renewable energy of any sort, they're like, "Well, where does the money come from? Why do you want to raise our taxes?" Then again, I kind of agree with not so much raising taxes, since 50% of what we pay in federal taxes goes to war, which the media doesn't cover. They failed to cover that part, and then they grilled Bernie Sanders on everything. "Well, you're communists. What are your connections with Cuba?" They're in a real, actual bubble. Washington, D.C., look at Obama. He surrounded himself by people from Citigroup, getting suggestions from Citigroup. And if you look at his cabinet, a lot of people who were suggested to him are on his cabinet. So when you surround yourself with people who are not Van Jones, for example, and this becomes your mentality, whether you're doing it subconsciously or doing it on purpose.
And lastly, I know you've only been here for a little while, but I think a lot of people, including myself, before all of this, didn't I knew Native American history, I knew American history, but I wasn't actively thinking about it. You know, the Native Americans, I admit, were not in my mind. As a young journalist, young person, does this kind of put a spotlight, and you hope puts a spotlight when Standing Rock is over, whatever the verdict is, that media will cover the Native American plight, which is ongoing, it never stopped, whatever comes next after Standing Rock, and people will continue to care about the Native American struggle?
Yes, we do wish that this is highlighting the struggles that Indigenous people face in America, have been facing. In light of the recent Black Lives Matters movement, it's good to see that there's a Native Lives Matters movement that's happening, and hopefully this momentum continues, and we continue fighting for fight for the treaty land that's been taken away from them, and just respecting them, not appropriating their culture, understanding where they come from, that the oppression that they have faced over these hundreds of years, and just hopefully that this just continues.
Shameless plug, where can people find your work? Facebook, Twitter, YouTube? Give us where we can find you.
All, actually. Facebook, Twitter. Our handle at Twitter is Aava News, AAVA News. And you can find us on Facebook. It's Aava News, same thing. Yeah, and we have a YouTube channel which is not yet active. And we thought that this is one of the events that we should cover as our first coverage.
All right, thanks guys, appreciate it.